Yo, what's the deal, man? It's your boy Rsonist, Heatmakerz in the building, and you tuned in to Respect the Architect, man. Holla at your boy, Dipset, Heatmakerz, Bronx in the building. First big placement for me was probably a record I did for Cannabis called The Sequel. That was the first, where I got paid. I didn't get all the money, obviously, that's a whole nother story, but I got paid and it came out on a major label, so that was I don't want to say I thought that I made it. I didn't really think nothing of it, but I just knew it was a big move. A lot of producers wanted placements and couldn't get placements. It was like a hiatus because after we did that, we didn't particularly, because I had a partner at the time, we didn't particularly have a sound at that time. You understand what I'm saying? It was more so we made a beat, it got placed, and we didn't really think what's next. But during the hiatus, we kind of developed the sound that you know now, the soul, you know what I mean? The soul sampling, sped up, the energetic, the reggae samples, you know what I'm saying? So during that time, we were making all those beats that led up to Diplomatic Community. Wow. You know what I'm saying? So, like I tell people all the time, the first CD that Cam had, we had 11 records on Diplomatic Community. They took 8 off of that first CD. You know what I mean? So 8 of those beats was on one CD. I had no clue. It's because, and anybody could tell you this, when you're in the midst of doing a lot of work with somebody, you're not really thinking about the final product. You're thinking about song by song by song until it's done, and you look at the album listing or you listen to the album and you're like, oh shit, this is kind of fire. I didn't know what the album was like until I got an advanced copy of the album from Def Jam, and I'm like, shit's kind of crazy. Because I didn't really understand all the music I was giving them. I just wanted to give them as much music as possible to choose from. You know what I'm saying? And what ended up on the album was, to me, was like a masterpiece. I'm ready. Just because when I made that beat, I listened to it on repeat for about 2 hours, sitting in the dark in the basement. I didn't know how a rapper could rap to that at the time, because that wasn't really the groove of music at that time. You know what I'm saying? It was like it had a 3/4 swing on, different type of beat. You know what I mean? And so it didn't sound like what was out, but I knew it was fire, because in my heart, I don't go off of sound, I go off of feeling. It felt incredible. You know what I'm saying? So that record I'm most proud of, 100%. I would say, even though the album did well, I would say the entire El Capo album. I wish, because there's still a lot of people out there that don't understand what that album is. To me, that's my best piece of work. That's just for me. You know what I'm saying? People will say, what happened to Diplomatic Community? I wasn't really a producer then, I was a beat maker then. You understand? I didn't understand how to produce records. When I got to El Capo, I'm a producer. You know what I'm saying? So, El Capo, that whole album, I wish more people knew about that. Even though it sounds crazy, because that's 20 years later, but that's when I truly had full confidence in myself. I executive produced Wasted Talent with Jim, but I only produced physically 5 records on that album, right? So I didn't really have that much control over. But El Capo, I did every record from top to bottom, mixed and mastered, and helped arrange with Jim. So it was more like I was involved in that whole process. So that album to me is, I think if you haven't heard it, you need to hear that album. That's an incredible album. I think Havoc, after seeing what Havoc does with samples, because I sample also, I gotta give him all the credit in the world. That dude is a genius of all geniuses, man. To listen to a whole jazz record and to find a 2-second clip and truncate it, and he's different. He's different. I give it up to a lot of producers, but if we're talking about skill, as far as sampling goes, Havoc is #1 on the list. And I say that as a dude who samples myself. You know what I mean? What he does is out of this fucking world. It probably turned out to be Dipset Anthem. Because I'm Jamaican, so I always wanted to sample a reggae record and do it justice. And Dipset Anthem was the first time I got a chance to do that. First of all, it was my 5th beat of the day, right? And after I made it, like I told you, I'm in the basement, I'm listening to it, I'm like, I don't know if I like this shit. And I'm literally about to turn the machine off. My cousin knocks on the door, he comes in, and I still got the beat on repeat. And he's like, yo, what the fuck is this? It's just crazy. I said, you like this? He was like, what you talking? This shit is crazy. You know what I mean? And I was like, that's why I kept it. If my cousin never knocks on the door, that beat never exists. That's how crazy life is. Like I tell people all the time, if he was to catch one extra stoplight, that beat doesn't exist. I was that close. Like on some movie shit, I'm about to turn the shit off, then you hear the knock on the door, I leave the shit on. It's crazy. They kept calling it the Bob Marley shit. So we gotta record that Bob Marley shit. You know, every Jamaican shit is Bob Marley shit to people that ain't from Jamaica, right? So he was like, yo, we gotta record that Bob Marley shit. So I remember, I think Juelz did his verse, I wanna say the same night that I gave him the track. And then Cam added his verse later, but I don't know if anybody understood what that record was really gonna turn into, me included. I didn't understand, you know what I mean? I didn't understand that it would be voted as like top 50 greatest beats of all times, and like that's insane to me. You know how much records have been made in the history of hip hop? And to have the, like, that's crazy. I didn't know any of this shit was happening while it's happening, meaning like, if people are talking about me in other states and other producers are saying, yo, they're dope, or other artists are saying I wanna work with them, I had no clue. Like, I had tunnel vision. I was locked into a studio just making record after record after record. By the time I would look up is when I would notice that I would just go, you know what I mean? Like, so I never paid attention to the outside shit, still really don't. I don't know right now if I'm relevant, irrelevant, I could not tell you. You understand? Like when y'all reach out to me, it's like, okay, cool, they still remember, let me go do the interview. You understand? Like, I don't think like, I'm the shit, I'm better than this dude, that dude, I'm just happy to be here. You understand? So, maybe that'll answer future questions. I don't look at myself as being this relevant producer or this, I just do work. Of course it's gotten lazy because, first of all, you got programs that's chopping shit up for you if you want to. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and people aren't, and I don't want to make it sound like everything I sample, I chop up into pieces. Like certain shit is maybe about 3 or 4 pieces, not a bunch of shit, but a lot of producers just rely on technology now. They know they can put the sample into something, do a bunch of magical shit to it, press a couple buttons, and it'll do the work for them. But if you knew how to sample from before and use the new shit, it's incredible. And that's where I'm at. I got the best of both worlds. You know what I mean? Before it was this easy, I knew how to do it. Now that it's super easy, I learned that side too. So when I combine the two, it's like some other shit. Just because it was a 5-minute long verse, I'm gonna say Lil Wayne the Mob. Just because all he did was rap. And he didn't take a bar off. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not discrediting anybody else that been on the Heatmakerz beat because they all got busy. From Cam to Jim to Juelz to Rick Ross to Fat Joe, whoever I've worked with, they've all gotten busy. But what Wayne did on the Mob from beginning to end is dope. So, I've never been asked that question before. In my thousands of interviews, man, never. Oh, you can't ask me that. Okay, if we talking about delivery, it has to be Cam. Cam has the most signature delivery out of the 3, right? But then Jim has his own signature delivery that people love him for. It's hard to call it, because anything I say is not gonna sound right because I have different relationships with all 3 of them. The way we work is different with all 3. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I can't, so I don't know. I can't call it. I know that's people really wanted to hear in order, but I can't call it. Those are all 3 my brothers, so I can't call it. The atmosphere was crazy, but I'm gonna keep it real with you. Shit was painful for me, man. It was painful to watch. I know that Dipset had the music to keep up, if not win. I know that for a fact. It was just put together wrong. Yeah. That's it. When I heard I'm ready first, you might think I'm lying to you. Something in my head said, yo, just get up and leave, man. It's downhill from here. I knew. But again, it is what it is. It's water under the bridge. Dipset, I'll count them as 1. 50 Cent, count them as 2. And no particular order. Yeah. Dipset, 50 Cent, Lil Wayne is 3. And Mixtape. Something makes me want to say Fab. Cause I feel like Fab's mixtapes were better than his albums. My opinion, you know what I mean? So I want to say mixtape Fab, mixtape version of Fab. Premier, and this is no particular order when I say this top 3. DJ Premier, the RZA, DJ Premier, the RZA, and Dr. Dre. No particular order. I like them all for different reasons. You know what I'm saying? RZA because he treated a sample the way it was supposed to be treated. He kept the feeling and kept the feeling alive. You know what I mean? Like he didn't try to make it so perfect that you lose the feeling. Premier made a lot out of a little. And Dr. Dre, sonically, nobody's better than him. Like his music sounds incredible in any sound system. No matter what speaker you play his shit through, it sounds incredible. And that's hard to do as a engineer, producer, whatever the case is. At first I had no choice because I didn't understand the arrangement of American music. Like I was born in Jamaica, you know what I'm saying? So when I came over here, my family that's adults at the time, they've been in Jamaica their whole life. So everything about my household was Jamaican, down to the music, down to the conversation. So it was like, I didn't know rap music. So when I started making music, I'm doing Jamaican drum patterns and shit like that because I didn't know how the hip hop drum pattern went. So me sampling reggae stuff was not like far-fetched. I knew that better than soul music. You know what I'm saying? So when I was able to turn a reggae song into a hip hop song, it was like a huge accomplishment for me because I'm like, finally I could bring some of what I know into hip hop. Because again, I thought the beat was terrible. I thought it was terrible till my cousin knocked on the door. So I didn't have a moment of, this is it. Not until I started to see the reactions of people like, oh shit, this record is crazy. And then Cam's response and Juelz's response was kind of like, oh shit, they fucking with this. And then that was the last record to make the album. You know what I mean? Like the album was done, about to go in to get pressed up. And that was the last record they did and it just made the album. It honestly did change my life. I mean, I know a lot of people just say shit like that, but I don't know what happens to my career without that record. I don't know what happens to Dipset without that record. You know what I mean? Yes, they had a bunch of other crazy records, but that record is like synonymous with Dipset.